was strange to me because I've gotten sick before, and I understand how these sicknesses go. In fact, I usually don't get sick. We take everything seriously here. We've got hand sanitizers. I wash my hands. Plus, you understand, we got the Chicken City, so I'm always washing up and making sure.
Like, I love that his safety protocols are washing their hands and opening the windows. It's like, as soon as we find out that, that we may have COVID, immediately put the protocols in place. We opened the windows, we sanitized everything. Like, come on. I have no idea how this could have happened. Guess what, everyone? Tim Pool has COVID. Tim Pool has not done any Tim Poolerisms for the past week, because Tim Pool has contracted the Rona. So, like most, let's just say, quasi-anti-vaxxers, those who perhaps don't speak too much of their anti-vaccine in the sense where they say, I'm not against the vaccines. I think you should have the right to do whatever you want with your body. After all, it's the libertarian way.
Week, I have not been producing videos because I tested positive for COVID-19 on Friday, and I had an extremely serious case. Now, I don't know how far it would have gone had I not gotten medical intervention, which I did. I don't make it sound like...
Did you say intervention or interferon? Well, I guess we'll find out. I might be giving it away.
I wasn't intubated or anything, and I wasn't rushed to the ER or anything like that, but I did have to go and seek treatment, and I received what one would refer to as the kitchen sink. But before I get into all of these details, I want to start with a special thank you to Joe Rogan, and legitimately, from the bottom of my heart, everyone here are extremely grateful to Joe and his support, and I'll break all this down, but I just wanted to say that right away because it really does mean a lot. But I'll explain everything that happened, and I think it's a really important story that people should know about. So on Wednesday, we did a show on Timcast IRL. It was just before the show, we got word that one of our employees here had just tested positive. And we're not 100% sure with these things.
Now, for anyone who doesn't know about Tim Pool and the Tim Pool Show, he records the entire thing now exclusively from his compound in the forest, where he lives with his friends. His friends are also all his employees. And I've actually been reached out to by journalists asking if I have any information related, because I'm constantly reporting on Tim Pool, any information related to the working conditions that are going on in the compound. Because apparently there are some stories. There are some stories going on behind the scenes of everything you'd imagine, most likely, of people who are in this kind of strange relationship with Tim Pool, his friends, aka his employees, and the treatment they're in. But also, I mean, if we take a step back from the fact that, of course, I'm sure they're all besties, besties at the best of times. You have but to ask Weed Lord about all that. You still have a responsibility, Tim, as the proprietor, as the employer of this massive media empire that you've created for yourself, to handle their safety, to say the very least. It is unusual. I mean, maybe I'm too old, so I don't really know about this whole streamer house shit, where you go and you get a whole bunch of other streamers and you all live together in kind of this polycule-like commune. But at the end of the day, if your employees have to live with you, if they have to break bread with you, etc., then you should provide a sanitary and ideally a safe work environment for them.
I was told by, a nurse that these at-home tests, they're not that good. And I was like, okay, well, look, we got to take this stuff seriously. So you may have noticed that Luke and Ian didn't do the show because, well, for safety reasons, we're going to minimize everything. But, we explained it to our guests and then said, you're basically here. It's up to you. Everybody seemed fine. We did have one person who was sick at the house, but we didn't know exactly with what, and it didn't seem like COVID. So it just seemed like a cold. Now, we definitely want to take things seriously. So, Luke is very adamant and he has all the protocols. Like, no joke. Like, Luke legit was like, here's what we're going to do. Disinfect. We're going to open up the windows, get ventilation.
Like, all the protocols. Hurry, someone in the compound has COVID. Disinfect. Quickly, open the windows. Shoo, COVID. Out with you. Out with the demons. Apply the leeches. It's time.
He did a really, really great job. But at the same time, my attitude was, we'll do this, absolutely. And also, let's not be paranoid, because look, colds still exist. There's still illnesses that are out there. And I'm not going to pretend that I'm not going to freak out and act every single time someone gets a headache that we're going to, it's COVID, shut everything down,
Clean up
we
your
can't
room.
live that way. We can't. But so we did
Clean
take
up
it
your
seriously.
room.
I was feeling fine. And this is the crazy thing. I was like, I didn't feel sick. I was like, maybe I'm sick. I don't know. I don't think so. I just felt fine. That night, Wednesday night, I went to bed and I woke up feverish, drenched in sweat. And so I was like, well, look, the only real symptom I had after I woke up was a headache. And I was like, if I am getting sick and it is COVID, maybe it won't be that bad. But I'll just say right now, as we get into all of this, this was the worst experience I've ever had with an illness. And I genuinely believe if I did not get the treatments that I got, the kitchen sink, if you know what that is, monoclonal antibodies.
Here we go.
I got prescribed ivermectin.
Oh, yeah.
Z-Pack.
Oh,
some
yeah.
emergency
Hydroxychloroquine.
and
Come on,
some
baby.
other emergency, like
Hit 'em all.
if you are not breathing stuff. So I truly believe the monoclonal antibodies are what pulled me out of everything. But
Yeah. Apparently they're pretty effective. If you can't afford them. That's the thing. If you can't afford them. Apparently they're around $2,000 a treatment, which unfortunately for the average American, that's not really a possibility. So when Tim Pool's sitting down at his old podcast interviewing people and they're like, oh, well, I just don't know about these vaccines. Apparently some people experience blood clots. I've heard of negative. And why aren't we allowed to talk about this? Why is no one allowed to talk about the negative consequences of these vaccines, these untested vaccines? What's going on? Meanwhile, should you get COVID and you happen to be Tim Pool and you've got a rich old doctor who's gonna give you the scripts, it's like, oh, Tim, you're sick. What do you need? Oxys? Oxy 80s? What are you looking for, baby? It's like, well, actually, no, I've got COVID. It's okay. We got monoclonal antibodies. We got ivermectin. You name it. We'll give you the kitchen sink. Prepare your body for the kitchen sink, Tim.
But I just wanted to make sure that was in the forefront of the video. But I'll explain. I want to go through everything.
Thanks for being
so.
transparent.
I wake up. It's Thursday. You may have seen the post I made on this channel, my other channel, saying that I had a headache for the most part, but I was going to play it safe, and that was it. I mean, I was drenched in sweat, but when I woke up, I didn't feel like I that night I slept. I woke up drenched in sweat, but I didn't feel bad. It was just like, I was like, wow, I'm sweaty. This is crazy, I didn't feel that sick.
The study that used to claim ivermectin works on COVID was redacted yesterday. The data sets were duplicated. Well, hold on. I thought there was one study they point to, and that study was like, it was in vitro. It wasn't even tested on humans, but even that one's been redacted, so what do they have left? Well, I mean, the good news, hey, come on, jokes aside, if Tim had worms, they're gone now. He has been dewormed, effectively.
And I got a headache, and I was just like, I'm going to have to take a day off, right? And I was like, maybe I'll be fine tomorrow because I don't know how serious it's going to hit me. And here's genuinely what I thought. Look, I'm 35, so I'm nowhere near the high risk factors for COVID-19. I exercise all the time. I mean, you see us watching. We skate. I've been skateboarding for a couple decades. I've been rollerblading more, and I like. You know what I like about it? It's with rollerblading. It's more of a full body workout too, especially. But so I exercise all the time. I mean, we're in the half pipe. Like my heart rate's through the roof. my blood's flowing. I've been eating way better over the past several months. Cutting out no bread, sugars, garbage. Just eat.
Wow. Do you know how Joe Rogan and Tim Pool and all these people are constantly talking about like personal responsibilities? Like, I don't get it. Why does anyone ever talk about obesity? Why doesn't everyone ever talk about how, like, Americans are all fucking obese because of their own personal body decisions? So at the end of the day, yeah, they're going to get COVID way worse. I mean, if they just ate right, exercise, got a good old pump on, if they had a full pump, I'm just saying, you probably would have a great immune system. You wouldn't catch COVID. Turns out that doesn't really play as much of a vector as they thought.
Eating, meats and veggies, got to eat more veggies for sure. And so I'm thinking, like, even if this, look, I'll probably be fine. So I figure I'll take Thursday off. We'll see how I feel tomorrow. Thursday night, it escalated so quickly, the illness, from being fine Wednesday to waking up drenched in sweat in the morning of Thursday, but still not feeling sick, to Thursday night, I felt like death. I didn't feel like I was dying. No, I'm just being like, I was like, like it was excruciatingly painful. And so I'm like, take some ibuprofen and I'm going to go to bed. And hopefully when I wake up on Friday, I'm feeling a lot better. And I couldn't sleep at all. That night, it was impossible to sleep. My head started throbbing. My fever went way up. I wasn't coughing, but my body started to hurt. It was pretty bad. And I thought to myself, still not as bad as when it didn't feel as bad as when I had the flu. But let me just say that it was substantially worse than the flu. And wow. So we'll just keep going. Okay, so Friday, now it's into Friday and I'm not sleeping. I was close my eyes and then I'd wake up in agony and drenched in sweat, just feverish. So Friday, it started to get really, really bad. And
can I just use this as a quick moment to put in a small PSA? And that is, get vaccinated. Please, everyone. I know there's not a lot of you I have to speak to anymore. Apparently, like 70% of Americans have now achieved double vaccination. So congratulations, America. That is a wonderful achievement. But to people like Tim Pool, who've been peddling ideas that perhaps these untested vaccinations could harm you, a lot of the things that Tim Pool's describing, I genuinely believe he probably went through them. I genuinely believe he probably had a fucking atrocious time. COVID, my friends who have had COVID have all universally said, those who have had really bad symptoms, that it's fucking terrible. It's absolutely wretched. One of them permanently lost her sense of smell. So one of the big benefits of taking these vaccines is that you are not going to experience, at least on average, you're not going to experience a lot of these horrifying symptoms, a lot of the worst of it. And it's something that I'm guessing the average person doesn't have access to the monoclonal antibodies or the hydroxychloroquine or the ivermectin or any of that kind of stuff. But they do have access to a vaccine if you happen to live in North America, not one of the many developing nations that we tend to plunder for our own benefit. But yes, please, PSA, get vaccinated.
I decided to call a local urgent care clinic. And I asked them, look, I don't know what I should do. I know I know a lot about COVID. I'm not a doctor or anything, but I've read enough about it. And I'm like, what should I do? And it was a terrible experience. Calling this urgent care facility. It was a bad facility. That's all I can really say, I guess. They were just like, why don't you come in for some tests? And I was like, well, I just took a COVID test and it came out positive. And they were like, well, why don't you come in and we'll take some more tests? And I'm like, for what? I was like, okay, I mean, sure, absolutely, if that's what you think I need.
Okay, so many questions. One, does Tim Pool not have health insurance? Question number two, I would assume if Tim Pool's getting all these kind of, ivermectin, for example, is not prescribed by doctors or is not supposed to be prescribed by doctors for COVID. So I'm assuming he has someone else like on call or maybe maybe that's why he's thinking Joe Rogan so much. Joe Rogan's got the MMA celebrity doctor who's like, you want scripts? I got scripts, whatever you need. But at the same time, test for what? They could be so many things, Tim. Like what if you have pneumonia? What if you have some other condition they don't know about? Like, I love how untrustworthy he is. It's just the worst experience. They wanted to do further testing on me.
But like, what would we do after this? Like, if the tests just come back and say, that I am positive, like, oh, well, we don't do anything. We don't prescribe anything for this. And I said, okay, so is this like a stay home and get a bed rest kind of thing? And they were like, yeah, it's a virus. And I said, okay. And now I got to keep some of the details for privacy reasons going through the story, especially the people who are sick and things like that. So I got to be a little vague, but the issue of ivermectin did come up, and as you all know, ivermectin is not approved by the FDA for treating COVID. And so when this came up, I was talking about potential. Is there anything I could take? I mean, would you recommend vitamins? Is there something I don't know? And it was expressed to me by the urgent care that their understanding was that there have been several studies showing ivermectin has helped people in dealing with COVID early on.
Bullshit.
And I said, and that's what they said. That's what the.
Now I know why you had to redact a whole bunch of information.
What I was told. And then I said, okay, is that something I should get? And they said, the FDA has not approved this for use in treating COVID. And then they just stopped. And I'm like, okay, and like, what does this mean? And so I was like, does that mean?
Yeah, intentionally vague so no one can ever call me out on my shit is basically what's happening here. Because, yeah, I'm sure if this ever got around to whichever doctors Tim Pool actually did talk to, they were like, no, we didn't. We did not do that.
That, people are asking their doctors for it, like to opt in, and they said, no, they will not prescribe it. And I was like, okay, now here, at this point.
That part of the story is probably true.
I've been skeptical on ivermectin. I understand the data. I understand, was it Uttar Pradesh? I think I'm getting the name wrong, in India and stuff like that. And I'm just like, I think the issue with it was that,
we have yet to meet a Republican who doesn't try and politicize or monetize their own illnesses and the illnesses of their families in some way. Whether it's like, Lauren Chen saying that she can't get health coverage for her father. It's an emergency. Please help. I need to get an American doctor to perform surgery on my dad. Steven Crowder basically turning I don't even know what happened to him. I mean, every single day he was posting updates on it. It's like, they're now draining all the organs out of my body and things like that. Join the mug club. Join the mug club.
There are studies that have been positive. There are studies that have been inconclusive. And I think that really is the simple answer. I don't tend to believe in big conspiracy or anything like that, and I still don't. And what I think people are worried about is that if...
New study coming out of Malaysia. Health Ministry. Study shows ivermectin does not prevent severe cases of COVID-19. A clinical study conducted by the Institute of Clinical Research shows that the antiviral drug ivermectin does not prevent severe cases of COVID-19, says the Health Ministry. In a statement on Wednesday, Health Director General Tan Sri Noor Hisham Abdullah said the study was conducted by 500 patients hospitalized for COVID-19. The ITEC study was to see if ivermectin administered during the first week of illness prevented deterioration or severe COVID-19 stage 4 or 5 amongst hospitalized patients age 50 and above with at least one comorbidity. They were randomly assigned into two groups, namely those who had 5-day ivermectin treatments with standard care and those who had only standard care. The study revealed that those who had ivermectin experienced 3 times more adverse effects, and the most common adverse effects was diarrhea. So by kitchen sink, does he mean fucking filling it with his own shit?
If everybody just assumes this is some kind of, they assume it's more effective than it is, then they might forego other potential treatments or maybe even ignore their doctors or things like that. And so my attitude is, and now still is, talk to your doctor. I'll tell you why, because I did find a different doctor. So I'm feeling miserable, and I end up like it's getting really, really bad. It got so bad that I just started. I was talking to friends. I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm getting pretty worried. I'm feeling extremely bad. I didn't have like a strong cough. I started getting a cough, and I'm like, it escalated so rapidly that I was concerned that if I didn't do something, like I was on the verge of hospitalization, like emergency room. I'm not saying that I was at the point where I was like, oh no, I better go to the hospital. I was like, if this does get worse at this rate, by the end of the weekend, I'm probably going to be rushed to the ER because I'm not feeling it getting any better. And that
it's almost like COVID is something really bad that we should take seriously. Who knew? We never could have seen this coming.
was strange to me because I've gotten sick before, and I understand how these sicknesses go. In fact, I usually don't get sick. We take everything seriously here. We've got hand sanitizers. I wash my hands. Plus, you understand, we got the Chicken City, so I'm always washing up and making sure.
Like, I love that his safety protocols are washing their hands and opening the windows. It's like, as soon as we find out that, that we may have COVID, immediately we put the protocols in place. We opened the windows, we sanitized everything. Like, come on. I have no idea how this could have happened.
Sure, we're things are being kept clean, and we have a cleaning service that comes in because we don't want people to get sick. I mean,
okay, so now
COVID.
People may be infected who work for that cleaning service
know what?
as well.
I talked to some friends, and one of those friends was Joe Rogan. I know that Joe Rogan got what I think he referred to it as the kitchen sink. He got monoclonal antibodies. He got ivermectin, azithromycin, and I believe he also...
Total side note, that totally reminded me of the time that Joe Rogan started going on the all meat diet because, of course, Jordan Peterson, Michaela Peterson were promoting it, and kept Instagramming about how he couldn't stop shitting. It's like, because of course it's not healthy to just eat meat and salt and that's it every single day. I'm sorry, like, you're gonna get all kinds of strange reactions.
Also did NAD, nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide with a vitamin drip, and that.
What the fuck? All these things, all these fucking pharmaceutical products. Who's cooked now, Tim? Like, holy shit! Just everything. I just said, give me everything. I whatever. If it sounds neat, nicotide, ID, vitamin drips, ivermectin, horse paste, you name it. Just give me everything. Everything but the vaccine. Everything but that.
That seemed to me like a lot. But I was also
no shit.
Man, it was. I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to.
They're never going to share the costs.
I'm not that guy.
Exorbitant costs.
The kind of person to do NAD. Joe Rogan is very much that. He talks on his show about this stuff and about like DMT, and I don't do any of that. I don't drink. I don't smoke. No tattoos, no piercings. I'm not the kind of person who's gonna get these kinds of treatments. And but it got to that point where I talked to Joe about it. Joe encouraged me not to ignore it. Basically, look, man, you got to take this seriously. COVID is extremely serious. And he encouraged me to talk to find a better doctor, to put it simply. And so I said, okay.
Yo, bro, your doctor not prescribing you the horse strip? He's not putting you on the horse? Nah, you got to get the horse strip. It's part of the sink, all right? Like, if you don't get the horse strip, you don't get it all. So fucking, you get a better doctor, bro. That's what it's about. Come on.
Okay. And I was like, I'm not calling Joe for medical advice on
yes, you were.
What he thinks the appropriate treatments are.
He literally told you to get a different doctor. What do you call that? Friendship? What the fuck?
That would be silly. But I do think that he received medical advice that made him feel better, and that's what I'm interested in.
Get on that horse strip,
son. That's what I wanted to talk to him about. And I ended up calling up, looking around, finding a private practice who I talked to them and told them how I was feeling, and they shared the concerns that I actually did too. So this is why I tell people, talk to a doctor, because I had a bad experience with one doctor, and they said, sleep it off, have a good day. And then I said, maybe I need to find a better doctor. And I did. And they said, look, if this progresses the way you're explaining it, this could be worrying, and we don't want to see you end up, in the emergency room or anything like that. So we want you to get treated. And I also think that I think money drives a lot of this. I don't care if they're a good doctor or a bad doctor. I think the one hospital was like, why don't you come in and get the tests? Because they're like, we're going to bill you. And I think these other doctors who are great and prescribed this stuff for me, were also thinking like, we're going to bill you. It's like, so.
Yeah, isn't it kind of fucked up how there's this huge profit motive involved in medicine, Tim? The things that the left are always talking about. I mean, you're supposed to be on the so-called left, so I'm sure you've heard about calls for Medicare for all, removing a lot of the problems in that system. But, go on.
I think there are two sides to that coin. So when I talked to this doctor, I actually, said, look, we've got other people who are getting sick, and we want to make sure everybody gets treated to the best of they can get treated. And so there were a few other people, the people on the show, who got treated. And I'll say, I want to, man, this is a crazy story. So let me say a few more things. We had 4 negative tests. 4 negative tests. So when I'm thinking on Friday,
okay, can I interject in saying that not of all the safety protocols he's mentioned, which also include all his fellow employees, has he once talked about self-isolation? Has he talked about, and so, we basically cordoned ourselves off. It's just been like, well, immediately we sanitized everything, opened the windows, opened the doors. We all huddled into one giant dog pile, naked. We all started sweating together.
Still not sure I have COVID because it was like the symptom was a headache and fever. And I'm like, but it could be. We had some of our employees and some of our friends had tested negative, 4 people. And I said, okay, we got a cold. It must not be COVID. And then it turned out to be COVID. So then, Friday afternoon, I said, all right, well, I better be sure. And then I took a test and it came up positive. And I was like, okay, so I have COVID, right? And so then,
oh my God.
Anyway, back. So this is, man, there's a lot to talk about. So anyway, I talked to this doctor and they say they want to get me in immediately for these treatments. And I said, absolutely. I talked to Joe a bit more about it, told him like, Joe, they want to give me monoclonal antibodies.
Not medical
They want to
advice.
give me ivermectin, Z-Pak. And they have some other emergency medications in the event that it goes south. And I got to be completely honest. I did not want to take the ivermectin or the Z-Pak. I genuinely believe, and I
Joe
said this
got me
before
on
when
the
Joe
horse
got sick,
trip.
that monoclonal antibodies, it's the Regeneron therapy. That's the company. It's what Donald Trump got. It is under emergency use authorization as a treatment for COVID. It's what Ron DeSantis is giving out. And I was like,
cool.
This.
It's not what the average American has access to, though. And this is like the 3rd prominent conservative figure we've seen talking about this and being like, I didn't get the vaccine because, again, I just don't know. I don't want to put things I don't truly understand into my body. So instead, I got the horse strip, Z-Pak, hydroxychloroquine, basically the kitchen sink, everything you can think of. And then, yes, this effective therapy, if you can afford it, if you can pay for $2,000 a session. And people watching this who are like actually believing Tim and being like, well, yeah, I'm not going to put a vaccine in my body. Why would I pollute myself? Are also going to be like, oh, shit, maybe I need to get my hands on some of this. Should I get sick as well?
To me, sounds like legit. And because I'm still trusting and I'm still, skeptical in a lot of things, as much as everybody in the world might be, all the people on one side might be saying ivermectin, other people might be saying something else. I'm like,
Only Facts TV, the vaccines are FDA approved, but when they were emergency authorized, the right wing said it was not enough. But once it gets approved, somehow he's okay with antibodies that are under emergency authorization use only. Well, it sounds fancy. All right, you got to remember that part. It's like, well, emergency authorization. Well, yeah, I'm an emergency. I'm a very special person too.
Far be it from me to criticize the wisdom of Don Lemon. I mean, certainly, if the doctor prescribed it. No, I'm kidding. So the doctor prescribed it, and so I ended up getting the treatment, and this was on Saturday. Saturday night was the most excruciatingly painful experience I've had of any illness, and I mean this. I got hit the worst out of anybody that we know, and I've heard the horror stories. I've talked about them on here, with Alex Jones. Maybe it wasn't Alex Jones. It might have been. We've had guests on the show talk about how they've had they had it before, and it was a very, very bad experience, and it was terrifying, and they went to the hospital and stuff like that.
So to recap, don't take medical advice from doctors or the CDC. Don't take the vaccine. Listen to the advice of Joe Rogan and Alex Jones. Great. Oh, it's just you gotta take all the monoclonal antibodies, Z-Pak, everything, throw the kitchen sink inside you, and then you'll be shitting uncontrollably. But the diarrhea is actually a good sign. That means the toxins are leaving the body. It's quite beautiful, actually. I preserved mine.
I don't think that was Jones though. But so I got it really, really, really bad to the point where I was like, I will do anything. Please help. So anyway, I got the treatment. I ended up receiving immediately monoclonal antibodies, NAD, that's nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide.
Hey, thanks for
it's
the
like
sub,
a B
the
vitamin
Deacons.
derivative.
Appreciate
and
you.
I ended up getting a vitamin.
I know.
drip
Where does the time go?
and some painkillers. That night, I was delirious. I was hallucinating. I hadn't slept properly in days. I hadn't eaten in days. I had tried eating soup. I was doing like emergency, the vitamin drink. And so it was bad. And I was struggling to breathe. I was, and I was like, if this treatment didn't work, I'm in serious, serious trouble. At 4 a.m., that was it. I stood up and I wasn't sick. I mean, I was.
Holy fuck. So the lesson of the story is just fucking flagrantly go in the face of all, the recommendations in science and be like, hey, everybody, if you catch COVID, and based on my advice, you will, just take a whole bunch of shit. Just take all the things I just listed. Hopefully you have access to them. Hopefully you have Joe Rogan's doctor at hand to be able to get you all these kind of things. Emergency authorization drugs. Yeah. That'll cure what ails you.
I was sick, but I was just like, what just happened? All of a sudden, I just felt better. The pain started to go off in waves. My balance was back. I was breathing deeply, and I was just like, wow. And I sat down, started binge watching House MD. So I've been watching that for the past several days.
Oh, cute.
And then I was just like, I feel better. I feel way better. At this point, I had not taken ivermectin, just the monoclonal antibodies, the NAD, and the vitamins. And I think
he's still fucking. And then came the horse trip, Tim. Yeah, all right. Can't wait to hear about it.
I think those all played a significant role. Now, I will stress,
thank you on Nintendo for the
in order to
biddies.
get these treatments, I called a doctor. We did a health screening. They explained to me the risk factors. When I was getting the treatment, they checked my lungs. They said my lungs were bad, and but not bad enough that I couldn't get it. I had moderate symptoms, but eligible for the therapy, and it's a good thing I got in when I did. And then Sunday, I was feeling better. I was feeling better, still sick, but feeling better. And so I decided that I still needed some time to recover, and obviously we can't do the shows and stuff like that until everybody is starting to feel better. So I think we should have everything back to normal starting today. But I will say something else. So I talked to my doctor again, saying, "Hey, look, I feel fantastic."
Yeah, silent chaos. Just nail on the head there. I mean, Tim Pool's entire career is basically one giant confirmation bias. If you haven't watched Vadim's video on him, watch it, because he has all this unearthed footage that no one had seen before because Tim deleted it all. But where he actually talks to this counter-terrorist expert, and he tries to push all his narratives on him. The same thing that Tim always does, and the guy just fucking demolishes every one of those arguments to his face. And clearly you can tell that's how Tim operates. He's looking for someone to be like, oh, okay, yeah, you're right, Tim. You're a good boy. You're a good beanie. A good beanie. What a good beanie, Tim.
Do I really need to take the Z-Pak and the ivermectin? Because I kind of don't want to. And they said, yes, you have to. And I said, okay. But now the media is going to start claiming I'm taking horse dewormer or something. I don't want people to think that I'm certainly not encouraging anything. And I was hesitant to even do this because I know that, look, I can come out and just lie and say I never got it. But I think it's important to know exactly what's out there that helped me get better. And they told me I have to take it. They were concerned about... I was told that there are people who it comes in waves, right? People will get sick with COVID, start feeling better, and then say, hey, I'm all good. And then a couple of days later, bam, get hit again. And they were like, you need to finish off the entire treatment. And I said, okay. So I've been taking, so I am now doing the full, kitchen sink regimen. I've done we did a follow-up NAD, okay, again, it's nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, adenine, I think I'm pronouncing it right, follow-up and vitamin drip. And I really do think that helped. All I can say is that I talked to a doctor about it, and they were the ones who said these are the treatments. Now, here's what you got to understand. This therapy, the monoclonal antibodies. This is what Ron DeSantis is doing in Florida for people. And when I got sick and experiencing how bad it was, and then when I got this treatment, I realized how amazing Ron DeSantis is. I know.
And we all know what's coming up next, right?
Ivermectin. The ivermectin for human beings.
A horse is a horse, of course, and no one can talk to a horse, of course.
Shame on, how can you look yourself in the, how do you sleep at night?
I've talked about him doing a good job before, but this is an expensive treatment. And they've been providing it to regular people who are getting sick and experiencing how much better I felt so quickly from it. I'm impressed that there is a governor who is prioritizing regular working people to this degree that they would receive this. Because I'm going to tell you something. I talked to Joe, and he was like, you got to get better, man. You can't ignore it. You got to find a doctor. Here's the therapy I got. I felt better. And I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to find this. Like, I'm going to call the doctor. I'm going to talk to him about these things. And I'll just say, Joe, I have no words for the gratitude that I feel to Joe for his support, because not only that, but after I called him back and said, we're getting the therapy, he was like, I'm going to take care of it for you. And I was just like, you sure? He's like, bro. He's like, get better, man. This is something very, very serious. I think.
Okay, so to summarize, first off, we got to be very clear here, because, the liberal media, CNN, MSNBC, they fucked up so badly on the ivermectin story. It was just fucking goddamn atrocious that all of them were like, hey, Joe Rogan is taking horse paste. Tee-hee. Like, that's fucking hilarious. I'm the one who should be memeing about that. Memeing specifically. Like, making memes about it, because it's fucking funny. But the truth is, yes, we've all been incredibly well aware that they're not actually taking the ivermectin for horses. What they're doing is exactly what Tim is doing right now, selling everybody on snake oil, being like, hey, by the way, ivermectin has been shown in vitro in this one study to be effective against apparently reducing some of the worst effects of COVID-19. This one study that actually just now got withdrawn because it turned out the data sets have been removed. So anyways, that not being said, people hear this. People are going to watch this story. They're going to hear about this miraculous, miracle cure that Tim just went through, and they want to go buy their ivermectin. But they can't, because doctors aren't allowed to prescribe it for COVID-19, so then they go to buy the horse paste. So the saddest part about this whole story is that it's the worker, like he's just claiming, the average American who's getting fucked over, and they're the ones who have to go out and eat horse paste and get violently ill because, yes, it's not intended for humans.
It's absolutely disgusting. What the media did. We talked about it a lot on IRL. What the media said about him, what CNN, how they lied about it. Now, it was one thing for sure when I'm like, they're lying about Joe. Like, he went to a doctor. I experienced it firsthand. I called a doctor, and I'm like, do I really got to do ivermectin and Z-Pak? And they're like, we're going to prescribe you medication and trust us. And I said, okay. And then even then, I still said, do you still think I need to take this? I don't want to be, isn't it silly? Why are we in this position where I have to say anything like that? I should just be like, thanks, doc. Thanks for the advice. YouTube could ban me for telling you. It's absolutely insane. It's absolutely completely bonkers.
For what? Spreading dangerous misinformation, Tim? Like, again, the average people don't have access to a lot of the things you just talked about. They have access to the vaccine, which, yes, most likely would have prevented all these horrible things that happened to you. The days upon days of long sweats, having trouble breathing, thinking that you were going to die, all of that stuff sounds fucking terrible. I mean, people have always been saying you should take COVID seriously. All the conservatives are like, oh, fuck mask mandates, fuck lockdowns, fuck all of this. No, we're just going to have business as usual. Yeah, it can fuck people up.
But I don't want to say, I'm not going to speak too much about the other people here because a lot of people got sick and, we did a full, like.
There's the other part. His poor employees, all of his quote friends who are just people who live with him on the compound and work for him. What a surprise. Our safety measures. I don't know what happened. Opening windows, sanitizing everything. Didn't work. Multiple people got sick. Did Joe Rogan buy all of them monoclonal antibodies? Did he buy all of them? The horse strip?
Yeah.
The ivermectin? Did they all get that at the same time? Was that available to everyone? I'd like to know that part of the story, Tim. The Goat and the Goblin, thanking for the raiding party of 86. Welcome in, Raiders. Good to see ya. We're just talking about how sick Moonlord must be right now. Poor Moonlord. What is Moonlord up to right now? Is Moonlord all fucking like... Oh god, all my crystals and zodiac signs aren't curing this right now. Can we get that alien drip on, or what's going on? Can everyone please go to twitch.tv/thegoatandthegoblin. Give them a follow back. They're based. They're both individually based, but together they form the Ultra Base. So yeah, go check them out. Great channel. Great pair of dudes.
Windows open, disinfecting, cleaning out. Employees were told not to come back in.
Oh, Callus, I have my own story about that. When I took Chico, this adorable little Chico, into the vet, right when I was about to pay, I just figured I'd have a little fun with the vet, and I was just like, oh, by the way, I just had one more question. And she was like, yeah. I was like, just curious if y'all have a little bit of ivermectin for sale, maybe on the sly. I was totally joking. I didn't think the response was going to be her face turning completely serious.
Clean up your room.
Like totally serious, and then all of a sudden being like, unfortunately, we do not offer that at this time, sir. And I was like, whoa, I'm just totally joking. And then immediately she's like, oh, okay, sorry. She's like, we have gotten so many phone calls, so many people trying to buy ivermectin. This is in Vancouver, in a very heavily vaccinated part of the world, but there's still a huge anti-vax movement here. But yeah, you could just see it in her face immediately when, like, we were jovial, we were having a great time, and then just like, I'm sorry, sir, at this time I don't... Like, I was like, holy shit. Yeah, no, it's real. The shit is real. Fucking... Yeah, there's no horses in Vancouver.
And because we don't want to get anybody sick. And again, man, let me get into some of the very, very important details about what all of this means. For one, again, man, Joe, you are a lifesaver. You are a great guy, and I am eternally grateful. No joke. This is, just... He didn't give me medical advice other than to find a doctor who's going to talk to me seriously about what's going on and stuff.
He told you what to ask for. He sent you to his miracle doctor, his Hollywood doctor, who obviously had all the scripts, and then he paid for it. He paid for the whole thing. What are you talking about, Tim? That's your own story that you're telling right now.
Stuff like that. And I think it's kind of funny, that like he has like, talk to a doctor, man. You got to take it seriously, dude. And I'm like, okay. Because my alternative was like, well, I called the urgent care and they said I'd be fine and just to sleep it off. And, but I was talking to friends about it. I'm like, hey, did you get this? How did you feel? And I know Joe went through it. So here's some of the very important things about what we were doing. We had an event on Saturday. I don't think it had anything to do with the event. I don't think the employee who got sick, this was on Wednesday. And so, and this individual wasn't anywhere near the event, didn't have anything to do with the event. And so we think that's how it ended up in the house, and it happened quick. So, I got sick quick. But the other thing too is, for the event we did, it wasn't shoulder to shoulder. We had an outdoor area. So, it was a decently ventilated place. It was packed, but like not shoulder to shoulder. People were easily able to walk around and move around. But look, these things happen. We were obviously taking it seriously, as I always do.
No, you weren't.
I'm not this like. Look at my attitude even towards ivermectin and stuff like that. I'm not, on one side of the issue about this. Like, no, I was like, we want to take this seriously, of course, but we.
What's this breaking news about DeSantis? Well, not breaking. It's from August. He's been criticized for opposing mask mandates and vaccine passports, is now touting COVID-19 antibody treatments in which a top doctor's company has invested millions of dollars. DeSantis has been flying around the state promoting a monoclonal antibody treatment sold by Regeneron, which has been used on then-President Donald Trump after he tested positive for COVID-19. The governor first began talking about the treatment last year. Citadel, a Chicago-based hedge fund, has 15.9 million in shares of Regeneron Pharmaceutical Inc., according to filings with the U.S. Security and Exchange Commission. Citadel CEO Ken Griffin has donated $10.75 million to the political committee that supports DeSantis, $5.75 million in 2018 and $5 million last April. It's not unusual for hedge funds to have a wide range of investments, and BlackRock, which is primarily donated to Democratic candidates, though has also donated substantially to Republicans, has a large holding in the company, more so than Citadel. DeSantis ramped up the call for Floridians to seek out monoclonal antibody treatments in August as coronavirus cases spiked. He's held news conferences as treatment sites in a Tampa hospital touting the effectiveness of the drug, and people receive treatment soon after testing positive. Early treatments with those with monoclonal antibodies, Regeneron, and others have proven radically to reduce the chances that somebody ends up being hospitalized. Huh. What a surprise.
We can't live this way. We can't hide.
Yeah, shocked Pikachu face there.
We warn people. People understand the risks. We looked out for people who are sick and things like that, and we didn't see anything like that. But back at at work, someone ended up coming in, and then later when they got sick, they tested positive, and that was it. It hit the castle, and this is why it's so important to understand the severity of COVID. Is that it's novel. Like, it hit a lot of people real quick. Now here's where it gets screwed up. I said, okay, we need tests.
One sec, I also just want to see the price. The cost of monoclonal antibodies doses for COVID-19 has come into question. A tweet with more than 11,000 likes at the time, writing stated that Regeneron's monoclonal antibody treatment for COVID-19 cost the U.S. government $2,100 per dose. To this, Kennerly replied, monoclonal antibodies aren't grown on trees. They're made by Big Pharma, specifically by Regeneron, a $57 billion company. They charge the government $2,100 for each dose of it, including yours. The mRNA vaccine costs $20 per dose to produce. But again, if you take that, that just means that you're in the pocket of Big Pharma, right?
Tests. 4 people who were sick tested negative. And I said, we must have caught a cold. And as it turns out, it was worse than that. So here's what I did learn. We've got
4-dose
employees here who are vaccinated and unvaccinated. There's 2 interesting things I can say. We've had a breakthrough case. One of our vaccinated employees ended up getting sick. Mild to moderate symptoms. Nothing too bad. I think they'll be fine. We have another pair of employees who actually are in a relationship and live together. One vaccinated, one not. The vaccinated employee never got sick. Surprise, surprise. So, for me, I'm kind of like, the plural of anecdote is not data. When I see somebody who, who's vaccinated and gets sick, I'm like, well, when did they get vaccinated? Turns out a long time ago. And so I'm like, okay. And then what do we have now? Well, the employee who was vaccinated and didn't get sick got it 3 months ago. I'm not advising you to do anything. Just because a doctor prescribed me stuff doesn't mean you should do it. The stuff that I got, I was screened for. Some people...
Wait, that's your takeaway from all of this?
Actually got rejected for. And that's why I say it's so important to talk to a doctor before.
And now, anecdotes aren't data. By the way, everybody, Joe Rogan, miracle cure. Me, miracle cure. Now, of course, I'm not saying anything because I never do. I don't really actually say anything. I just like throwing out a whole bunch of seeds, hoping a few of them grow in your brain, and that's basically my entire shtick. But all I'm saying, Regeneron, horse drip, come on.
Talk to a doctor before getting any treatment. And if you're having a bad doctor, this is exactly as I said it. I was like, if you call your doctor and they give you and they don't give you a good enough answer,
get a new doctor if the first one doesn't give you what you want.
Get a second opinion. Literally what I did. And the second opinion was like, we want to give you this full treatment because you sound really bad. Now, as part of the screening, they took all my information down, but they did a lung check because there are parameters. And they said not only were my lungs healthy enough for the treatment, but that they were bad enough to where they thought I really needed it. And so from that, I got the Regeneron monoclonal antibody treatment or whatever.
Joe Rogan
I think it's extremely important that people understand.
We were joking about him not having healthcare, but he does. It's called Joe Rogan. He's got Joe Rogan care. He just calls up Joe Rogan and he's like, oh, bro, I got you. We're going to pump you through all of everything. I'm going to fucking inject the kitchen sink straight into your prostate.
And all of this stuff. That you understand that there are these therapies. For me, it seems to have worked out
Rogan
really
care.
well because
Bro care is better.
I can only explain it as, You know, I know when Joe said he got sick, he said the first day sucked. I'm like, sucked is not how I felt. I was going, and I feel like if I didn't get the monoclonal antibodies, I probably would have had to go on the ER instead of just going and getting, you know, this treatment. So I'm grateful to the doctors and the nurses, and as much as I, you know, didn't want to be doing the Z-Pak ivermectin stuff, I'm going to follow the instructions of my doctor, as I think people should all follow the instructions of their doctors. And, you know, I'll say this too. I didn't ask the doctor for anything. It's not like I called Joe and then I was like, okay, now I'm going to call the doctor and ask them to give me identical stuff. I didn't. I said...
That's the opposite of the story you were telling at the start. You said you spoke to your first doctor, you brought up ivermectin, and they said they wouldn't prescribe it for you, even though somehow these doctors told you that 2 studies, which don't exist, actually prove that ivermectin is effective. Then you called Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan got his special doctor onto the phone and gave you the whole kitchen sink. And the fucked up thing about this is, like, what was it, around the 25 or 27 minute mark? He's like, and, you know, of all the fellow people and staff, the employees, if you will, who got infected, turned out the one who was vaccinated did not. Take that for what it is. All I'm saying is that, you know, if you have access to these incredibly expensive drugs, why don't you give Regeneron a whole bunch of money? Make them even richer.
You know, what should I do? Because I don't like seeding ideas in people's minds. You know what I mean? I don't like calling the doctor and then being like,
wow, I feel seen. I feel called out.
hey, what about this treatment? Would that be right for me? And the doctor just says, sure. No. I want to know what the doctor's true and honest opinion was. And, you know, they prescribed this stuff to me. As I stated, I would not want to be taking ivermectin. Now, we do have some other people here who had prescription for ivermectin. And
did they have worms?
That I don't want to give away too many private. I don't want to give away too many details for other people. But I can just say that what made me feel better, I think, was the monoclonal antibodies, and I think that's really what did it. I think that was true for Joe. I don't know about anything else. I can't speak for him, but I think that's what did it for me. So. We are not having any guests on IRL. It's going to be probably just me, Luke, Ian, Lydia for the next few days. But we're going to then get everyone to test negative. And then once we do, resume things back to normal. We've already disinfected twice, opened up all the windows. No one's been here. We only people who are quarantined here are quarantined here. And I
mean, I hate to call you out on your bullshit in real time, Tim, but your method's not working too well here.
So I think things are going to get back to normal. Here's what I'll say about the mandates. I think it proved. I think a lot of this just makes me feel like I was right the whole time.
Oh my God! Of course it does.
Negative testing did nothing.
Fucking confirmation bias, the human. God damn.
We were like, okay, we got people getting sick. Let's do a bunch of tests. And then we're negative. And so I'm like, okay, we're good. Okay, with the negative test, thank you very much. If we ignored that and just said, let's treat it like COVID, maybe we could have mitigated this a bit better. I think the mandates just won't do anything. You know, if people are going to get sick and they bring it, it happens.
Just a bum 51. Thank you for the tier 1.
I don't know what else to say, I guess, other than I've got the prescription remaining from my doc that I'll be taking, and just think it's important people know about it. I'm all fine, hopefully, and I look forward to being accused of all of the media lying about me and my prescriptions and my medication. I got a prescription. I got a bag right here with prescriptions from a doctor. Like, let me see if I can. There's a prescription bottle.
Oh, is that the ivermectin?
Like, yeah. Okay. Let me. I don't want to have any private details on it, but you know,
shows the drip.
There's a prescription bottle. I don't want to.
Whoa, a prescription bottle.
So
it's all real.
Yeah. All right, I'll leave it there. Let's get back to it. Let's get back to work. Next segment will be up at 1 p.m. Man, we got so much news. We got the Rittenhouse trial. We got New Jersey's hanging on the wire, the governorship race. We got Virginia. Wow. Youngkin. I can't believe it. I mean, I can believe it, but wow. So, thanks for listening. We'll see how...
Nearly dying to own the libs.
We'll see how... maybe, the media
Struggling
likes to
to
ignore me,
breathe,
and hopefully
to
they
own the
continue to do
libs.
so. But I'll leave it there. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all at 1 p.m.
Wow. Absolutely stunning, Tim. Well, I'm glad he's learned a lot of valuable life lessons throughout this. Sounds like he really took a lot of it to heart. We're probably gonna see a new Tim from this point on. Hopefully, all his friends aren't suffering too bad. Hopefully,
Clean up your room.
Joe's gonna buy them all the monoclonal drip, the Regeneron. Ivermectin COVID-19 study retracted. Authors blame file mix-up. Uh-oh. The authors of a study purportedly showing that ivermectin could treat patients with SARS-CoV-2 have retracted their paper after acknowledging that their data was garbled. Is that the scientific term? Garbled? I don't know. We should ask Tim Pool or Joe Rogan. He's a doctor. The paper, Effects of a Single Dose of Ivermectin on Viral and Clinical Outcomes in Asymptomatic SARS-CoV-2 Infected Subjects, a pilot clinical trial in Lebanon, appeared in the Journal of Viruses in May, according to the abstract. So results. Ivermectin appears to be efficacious in providing clinical benefits in randomized treatment of asymptomatic SARS-CoV-2 positive subjects, resulting in fewer symptoms. In October, the BBC reported a larger study concerns about ivermectin research. The study found blocks of details of 11 patients that had been copied and pasted repeatedly. That doesn't sound like science, suggesting many of the trial's apparent patients didn't really exist. The study's authors told the BBC the original set of data was rigged, sabotaged, or mistakenly entered in the final file, and that they had been submitted a retraction to the scientific journal which published it. Ooh. Uh-oh. That's not, it's not great. Not great, Oh well.
Do you enjoy the Serfs but prefer not to have to use your eyeballs? Many are saying this. Well, we've got the solution for you. It's the Serf Times in podcast form. Available on most major podcasting networks now. If you enjoy it, please consider leaving a good review and feedback because it really helps the show out, apparently, and it's free. Just like the podcast.
To our gods, Xander Corvus and Peyton L. Just, we will build a ladder to heaven to deliver you the daily news. To our monarch, Tom Spiker, we are your most humble of clownish jesters. To our lords, Trevor R. and Alexander Thaler, you have our undying fealty. To our knights of the round table, Nate, that one guy, Hagbird Celine, Matthew Scarborough, Stellar Vision, Ariana McCarthy, Daniel Sutton, Ants Are Still Running the World, Coulter Smith, Tom Groh, Val 9000, Jenna Tal, Quiet 185, Anna Loves Riley, Riley and Anna, Omni, Poodlehawk, The Tim Caucus, Multimondi, Trevor Janis, Lemmy 101, Anthropophojack, Saren 42, Chronic to Hemphog, Catherine, Radical Maniac, Ramon Acosta, Incosin, Violent Orchard, Sophie Baby, Political Puppy, Andreas Chiringuito, Zach Christensen, Josh Mickelson, Todd Buckingham, and Todd Lajeunesse. We shall meet you in the tavern, and we raise a drink, and we salute you.